Hey guys, Staffless here, or you can call me Larry. What this video is going to be some advanced tips I have for Anna. It's basically what I did with Sombra, but for Anna, the support sniper. And with that being said, I do want to let you know that this is basically low gold to high silver or mid to low gold gameplay, and my tips do vary on depending on your competitive level. So with that being said, let's get into it. My first tip is she's also a hit scan. Now, I know that sounds pretty dumb for me to say, but it is true. Most people solely focus on her hip fire, trying to hit people without the scope, that they miss out on that she's also a hit scan. This can be really great for burst healing at a crucial moment, or burst healing at a tank at a crucial moment, or a DPS at a crucial moment when they're about to die. Give them that burst healing so that way they can survive, or just to hit that annoying Pharah on the enemy team. For the enemy team, it's just usually 4 shots and the Pharah's gone. Or to heal your Pharah or Genji, so that way they can stop screaming at you, hey, I need healing. My next tip is actually pretty cool, but this actually only really relates to console players since I only play on PlayStation 4. But switching buttons. Now it might seem weird, but as you can see in this gameplay, I have it switched from triangle where it's defaulted on PlayStation 4, and I believe it's X for Xbox, but it's actually in a bad position that you have to leave the right stick to just to press. So unless you have a scuff and you have that, you know, just put on one of your your scuff little triggers. The best thing to do is switch buttons. The way I have it is on L3. With this, it just lets me activate my ultimate while still aiming it. So just to keep my target more dead center than it needs to be. Let's see. Also, mess with the sensitivity. Just mess with that. Try to find your sweet spot where you can ult the right person and not have just some stray hero come out of nowhere and steal the ult from your desired target. Let's see. My next tip, and this one's pretty good, is prioritize your targets. This goes for Ana Boost and Sleep Darts. Prioritize your targets. We'll go over Sleep Dart first. Obviously, you want to prioritize your Sleep Dart for targets that are using their ultimates, but like Sombra, this also helps your team deal with a enemy that is really troublesome to your team. So what you can do is sleep dart the fully charged Zarya. Make sure no one's hitting her anyways. What this will do is cause her to lose a lot of charge, because 6 seconds of doing nothing but sleeping, she basically loses. I think that's a good amount of her charge. I think it's just 40%, so that would help. Another one would be any boosted enemies. That way it completely negates the Ana boost. Or just the try to flank and hit the priority hack targets I described as Sombra, so like Ryan, Bastion, and Mercy. just to name a few. And this is a bit more of a practice move, so it's really up to you. But um, let's switch from the sleep dart into the Ana boost. So the Nana boost is actually pretty strong at ultimate. So you want to get as much damage out of it as you can. At the same time, save uh, your teammates' life, because it what it does, it gives 50% more damage and 50% less damage taken. Uh, so when you begin a fight, the best thing to do is always look for a uh, priority and a boost target. Mine would commonly be a soldier or a Reinhardt, a diva who does not have her ultimate, and I'll explain why. Um, a Genji who does have ultimate, and a Bastion. I know it's kind of niche to say that the Bastion is pretty key, like a key hero to uh, Nano Boost, but that damage is just so much and so fast. Like Reinhardt's shield basically just disappears after a second. It's really good. This one is make sure you tag with another support. The main reason for this is because of Anna's recent buffs and nerfs. Well, actually her nerfs. She can't really heal as well as she used to back in second season, or maybe even third. So the best thing to do is make sure you have another support with you. A Zen is good, a Mercy is good, even a Lucio is good. They're all great. All will get benefits off of your bio grenade, plus their healing, plus you healing. It's just a really good thing. I went through my entire placements. I know I said I will main Sombra this one, but during the season, but there's so many people playing Sombra that I can't get to it, and my other main is Ana. So I just decided to play Ana the rest of the season. Let's see. And I do want to emphasize that um, being the solo healer, it can be done. It's just it's going to be a lot more difficult because you kind of want to focus on like a Pharah. In my experience, I focus on the Pharah while the secondary healer heals. Let's see. Next one is prepare to ask for ultimates. Now this one I've had to do a lot of. So a lot of times people don't even know when their own ultimate is up. A lot of times I'll just press down on the communication wheel just to see where my ultimate is. I don't even look at the big glowing blue circle to see if it's up or not. And I just let the voice actor tell me where it's at. If they say it's almost ready, I'm like, okay, cool. Then they will say my ultimate's ready. I'm like, okay, my ultimate's ready. So check with ultimates. Use the team view screen, so that way you can see who's ready. Also, try to communicate with your team, see if they want to combo ults with you. Soldier typically does, Genji definitely does. Let's see, Roadhog does every now and then. Let's see, Zarya, I've done that before. I kind of wish I had the gameplay of it, but it was so frightening. Like on this one, the Roadhog itself, like it out damaged Roadhog's heal. He was taking a breath, but his heal never went up. He died like halfway through it. It was pretty bad, and he wasn't even like damaged in any way. He had like I want to say like a good fit, like 1/5 of his health missing. So communicate with that. Also communicate where you are at. Um, that way the DPS knows where to fall back at to get some heals, or the tanks know to fall back to, so that way they can get some heals. It's just help your team. Now in my next tip, this one might be a little bit controversial, but it is probably the best thing I can say, is don't be afraid to use your ultimates when there's no other ultimates available. Uh, a lot of times all it takes is just your ultimate to help your team push a point, push through a choke. Uh, just put pressure the team back, enemy team back into their spawn, or away from the payload. It just takes your ultimate and a good target, and that team fight is just done with. You don't have to deal with it. You don't have to. What you then have to do is just wait, see if that actually gets taken care of. So, good targets to use is primary. Is Diva, Soldier, and Reinhardt. These are great if no ultimates are available. The Another one is McCree, but now another tip, and this is key for a lot of heroes, is positioning. But for Anna, her key positioning is probably in the back line. Well, normally in the back line, or on a high positioning point. Um, Mainly because it's easier just to aim down into either the enemies or your team, depending on where the right positioning for it. Um, so aiming down is actually easier to hit your targets than aiming up at them, or aiming like if you're on the same level as them. The main reason for that is because what could happen, and it happens to me a lot while I'm down on street level, we'll just call it that, is that other people will jump in the way, uh, and it just blocks your shot. So getting a high positioning, this actually uh, makes it easier on you just to hit your shots in key ways. Let's see. So with this one is my next tip is focus on healing. You're not a DPS healer anymore, or you never was supposed to be, but uh, you're not as good at DPS as you used to be. So the best thing to do is focus on healing to build your ult as fast as possible. Another one I have, and this is probably key for a lot of heroes, but is to recognize the team comp. With this being said, this is basically recognize if your team has good synergy with an Ana. So an example of bad synergy would be your team have 4 DPS, 1 tank, and you as Ana. That would be bad synergy because there's only one tank to really help you get that healing and build your ult super fast. A good comp will be the 2-2-2 or 3-2-1. 2-2-2 is 2 healers, 2 tanks, 2 supports. 3-2-1 is probably my favorite to run. It is 3 TPS, 2 tanks, and 1 support, which is you as Ana. Let's see. And while you play as Ana, be sure to provide support while avoiding damage. Now this is really hard to do, even I can't do this a lot, But what it is what your what any support will do is try to support your team to the best of their ability without taking any damage at all. Um, let's see. So basically, just focus on healing and practice dodging shots at the same time. Another thing I would like to say is probably best is to warm up. Um, as for warm up, this kind of goes for every competitive day you want to go, but just warm up. Just either go into the practice range or play one or two quick matches just to warm up warm up the fact that you have to aim down scope just to get the uh, instant heal going on, or let's see, or practice the no scope option. Another thing is to practice the new button mapping you have. If you follow my L3 advice or R3 or however you want it, your new button for Ana Boost, just make sure you don't have to leave the right stick, so that way you can keep have it aimed perfectly on your target instead of like just have it randomly go to someone who jumps in the way. So just a few tips on key tips on some of these. One of for she's also a hit scan. This can be used for healing Genjis, Pharahs, and taking down Pharahs as well. It takes 4 shots, so it's probably best. Also, there's a you actually have more of an auto aim as a as aim down scope. So you might want to practice quick scoping your friendlies, so that way you can get that heal off. Switching buttons. Another thing is, I've tried this and I did pretty well, but I had to stop because it kind of really hurt my fingers afterwards. Like after 1 or 2 games, I had to switch off of it. But what can help is holding down R1, which is the top right trigger, and using bottom right trigger to fire, is also a good way. That will put the sleep dart to bottom left trigger. Well, yeah, bottom. That'll put the sleep dart on either not sleep dart, but the bio grenade either on triangle or L3. I've tried this multiple times. It has worked, but it does cramp a bit. So if you stretch out a bit, stretch out your fingers before you play, it's probably the best way to do it. Let's see. Now, as for prioritizing targets, when you go into a fight, so when a fight gets initiated, if you have a Sombra, Sheet EMPs, that's probably the best time to ult, but you need to know who you're ulting. So, a Diva without ult, a Soldier with ult, a Genji with ult, a Reinhardt, and if it has ult or not. These are really good targets just to use it on. And as for the sleep dart, I believe I discussed this. You kind of want to prioritize the enemies that are causing problems to your team. So if there's a really good Winston that is going for the dive comp, just sleep in mid-air. Same with a charging Reinhardt. Those are like 2 of the easiest targets to hit. A Diva is also easy if she doesn't have her defense matrix up. Let's see. Reaper is actually pretty vulnerable to the sleep dart. You just gotta keep an eye on it. And also, the best thing to do is practice this. Um, in this practice, you kind of want to sleep dart a Reaper. Get a friend who plays Reaper a lot, and sleep dart. Try your best to sleep dart them. Turn off the cooldowns, uh, and it will help you because once that Reaper tries to ult, um, it's probably best to practice the sleep dart because there's probably a frame or two. I think there's like a full second. Like don't really turn down off the cooldowns, but like make them pretty short, just so that way Reaper's cooldowns are like a second. So that way you have a second to respond before he ultimates. Let's see. Another support. This was actually pretty key for me during my placement matches. Like I said, during my placement matches, I didn't really do well, mainly because people kept picking Sombra before I can. So I went with Anna because she is my main. Um, and we never really had a secondary healer, which actually made me mad. So I had to switch off of Anna into a Lucio. For some reason, everyone wanted Lucio over Anna, where I provide shields instead of just quickly just dispersing shield over like something that will help us push through a choke, something that will help us push point. It was maddening to me that I had to do this. And then just one game, I just said, screw it, I'm going to play Anna. And they had their objections. They thought I was throwing because at this point, like after Anna got nerfed, I don't know if you have these gameplays or these people on PC or on Xbox, but on PlayStation 4, when something gets nerfed, they think, like, people in this mindset just goes, okay, it's completely useless now that it's nerfed. But they didn't really touch her healing. The only thing that affected her healing was the bio grenade. That was the only time they ever affected her healing when nerfing something. So, but tagging with another support is still pretty just as good. Communicating. Use the communication wheel. I know I said this before, but it's just too good not to use. That way, it will provide your team with the ability to see that you have ultimate and you're looking for someone to combo with you. Let's see. Also, communicate where you are at. That way the DPS doesn't really necessarily have to look for you. And make sure they're communicating that they are where they're at, because you could be focused on one person, like you're scoped in, and they say, heal me, heal me, heal me. You're just like looking around for them. And if they just use the I need healing mark, then it'll be 100% better. That way you can find them quickly and heal them up. As for ult usage, there's nothing really much I can say. Again, D.Va, Soldier, Reinhardt, great targets to use the ultimate on. And if you are solo healing, you can get your ultimate back so fast, it's not even funny. I can get my ult back just as fast as I play Sombra, and that's actually pretty bad. Positioning. This one I actually have extra notes on. So, this one actually recognizes the team comp. This one actually goes for recognizing the enemy team comp. I know I didn't really discuss this, but mainly because I want to discuss positioning on it. So if you look at your enemy's team comp, if they have a dive comp, the best thing to do is stay near your tanks or your uh, anti-dive heroes. So McCree, uh, Symmetra, Reinhardt, Roadhog, all those heroes, they're probably best to stick around so that way they can just easily turn around and just decimate those who are diving you and keeping that way it keeps you alive. And instead of also another thing for positioning is managing the cooldowns of fellow heroes. So not enemy but friendly heroes. The reason for this is again in as the example as dive comp, the best thing to do is to stand by a McCree you know that hasn't used his flashbang, and you gotta know he's a good McCree too. I've been in the situation where where I'm trying to get this McCree to deal with a Genji, and he never does. I had to deal with him, but then he complains to me that he never gets healing. I explained to him, I'm dying, kill this Genji. Her grenade is so powerful, even though it's been nerfed several times. But it's so powerful for a team fight, for a if your entire team gets grabbed, but you have a good positioning to be out of that position. To avoid the grab, just throw in the grenade in there, so that way they can't. I'm lost for it. So that way you help your team survive a bit more. Or if your friendly Zarya grabs, throw your grenade into that. So that way, if they have a Zenyatta, when he ults, the enemy team doesn't really get any beneficiary healing from that Zen ult. Also, on communication, tell anyone you're about to sleep someone. Say you're about to sleep the Bastion, do not hit the Bastion, so that way you aim, shoot, put down the Bastion for 6 seconds while you push the payload out his Bastion. There you go.